Good afternoon. This is a public meeting of the Indiana Arts Commission convened to review arts project support grants for the fiscal year 2024 from Region 2. This includes Elkhart, Fulton, Kosciuszko, Marshall, St. Joseph, and Stark counties. My name is Sarah Craig Pratt, and I will be facilitating the panel today. Today is Monday, April 24th, 2023, and we are meeting online and streaming live for applicants and the public to observe. There is no contact between the panel and the audience about the disposition of the applicants before, during, or after this panel meeting. This meeting will be recorded and made available upon request. At this time, I would like to introduce the 5 panelists from our Region 2 area. Jordia.
Good afternoon.
Could you state your whole name and your county?
I am Jordia Benjamin. I live in Portland, Maine, so the New England region.
Angela?
Angela Micheludi, St. Joseph County.
Maria?
Maria Guevara, LaGrange County.
Randy?
Randy Roberts, Elkhart County.
And Nora?
Nora Alwalon, St. Joseph County.
We also have staff members here. Kayla Myers.
Hi, I'm Kayla Myers with the Community Foundation of St. Joseph County and the Region 2 IAC partner.
And we have 2 members from the Indiana Arts Commission. Andre?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sanera, Deputy Director of Operations and Strategic Partnerships. Thank you all for being here.
And Suzette?
Hello, I'm Suzette Hartsfield-Jones, and I'm the Contracting and Financial Operations Coordinator here at the IAC.
Thank you. And thanks to all of the volunteers and staff who have spent a lot of time reviewing these. And it's paying particular attention to the details because this is a very important process for us. Now we'll begin the panel review and I will explain how this is going to work. I will announce the application and the applicant or organization. I'll then ask the first reader to begin and discuss the applicant. The first reader will provide their assessment of the application based upon the evaluation criteria and their perspective. Panelists, please note that the applications do not need to be recapped since everyone has already read it and reviewed it. Just provide your comments. After the first reader is finished, I will ask the second reader to present any new, additional, or opposing comments. We are not looking for consensus or agreement, just a full evaluation of the different perspectives of our panelists. After the second reader is finished, I'll open the discussion for final comments by any or all of the reviewers. If you don't have a comment, then that's fine too. In the interest of time, again, we're looking for new, additional, or opposing views. I don't believe we have anyone who has a conflict of interest. If we did, we would put them in a virtual room and then reintroduce them. But I believe we don't have any conflicts. Finally, once the application has been reviewed by the full panel, we ask the panel to update their scores in the online system. It's common for scores to change as a result of this broader discussion. These scores save automatically. Are there any questions from the panelists at this time? Okay, great. Thank you. We'll start the application from the Robinson Community Learning Center at the University of Notre Dame. And the first reader is Randy.
All right. So for artistic quality, I believe they had a strong response because they provided a considerable number of straightforward but detailed responses to the questions asked so that the quality of the program could be illustrated to the reader. And because they have used continually past experiences to refine their goals to provide a lasting impact on the youth they serve. For artist support, constructive feedback, I thought of to enhance that part of the application was if they could have elaborated on how the teachers benefit from participating in the program outside of financial compensation. For example, the AmeriCorps members and volunteers, which were mentioned later in the proposal, how has this program offered a launching pad for them to build their resumes and classroom management skills? For the care section or the idea section, they have made what I believe considerable effort in providing effective methods on how they utilize that strategy to reach their audience. And for project management, I think the team there is appropriately experienced and planned, and their project budget is considered and reasonable.
Okay, great. Thank you. Maria?
I agree with what Randy and I have no further comment.
Was that it? Okay. Any other additional comments from panelists? Okay, panelists, if you could please rescore your scores online, and then please give me a thumbs up when you're finished. Okay. Dradia, you don't have the capacity to do thumbs up. I assume you're ready?
I did. I had my thumbs up.
Oh, sorry, I missed it. Okay, we'll go on to the next grant to review, which is Rochester Downtown Partnership, Inc. in Fulton County. And our first reader is Angela.
Okay, for artistic quality, the goals of the Rochester Downtown Partnership project are clearly stated in this proposal, and it provides ample information to support or demonstrate the project's quality and impact for the community. Various samples of the artist's work are available in the links found in the proposal. For artistic support, it clearly describes the financial benefit to Indiana musicians and artists, including the dollar amount and the entities receiving remuneration from the grant if it is funded. For community engagement, the proposal outlines multi-pronged marketing efforts to reach residents of Fulton County. Several methods of collecting data on the project impact were described, and idea strategies were clearly and completely addressed in the proposal. This was a thorough description. There's a description of how the community is involved in developing the program, and that's clearly stated. And for project management, the budget is clear, balanced, seems very reasonable. One aspect is of particular note that it includes a statement of how the program will be managed in the event revenues sought are not collected, so what might have to get cut. And the experience of staff who managed the program was described and demonstrates competence to carry out the proposal. And the timeline is well thought out and reasonable. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Our second reader is Nora.
Hi, I generally agree with Angela. Some comments I have on the community engagement and idea section. They clearly outlined how they'll benefit several underserved communities, rural, economically disadvantaged groups. And they've listed steps that they've taken to include the input of the community and how they plan to do that. moving forward. I also wanted to call out the accessibility portion, given that the participation is at no cost, ensuring that facilities are ADA accessible, and structuring the location and time around making things accessible for folks who have different schedules. Yeah, marketing and promotion capabilities, they seem robust and representative of their audience.
Good, thank you. Additional comments from other panelists? Okay, panelists, if you could please score, make note of your scores online and give me a thumbs up when you're finished. Okay, great. We will move on to our next review is of the South Bend Chamber Singers at St. Mary's College in St. Joseph County. Our first reader is Jordia.
Hi, hello. The application was extremely thorough and explained each of the distinct performances that will take place, that we'll be using the grant for, the 3 different concerts that was listed. The only thing that I found that was missing was, because the performance or this concert series has been taking place for 35 years, it didn't provide any kind of past experience of how the years prior would be informing the year or the concerts that were proposed. It offered a lot of explanations on the 11 artists who would be paid directly, and how many artists the concert series would be associated with and be working with. I would add a suggestion here was the additional artists that was listed to clarify their benefit from the project and in what ways they would benefit from being a participant or working alongside the proposed concerts and those musicians that would be coming underneath that. The marketing materials was extensive. The links to the website, the Facebook, the videos, all of the previous scans of the program booklet, posters of the events. There were about 12 attached items and documents, so extremely thorough. Another thing to note or to make a suggestion was if the concerts were offered at a price, and how were those fees or accompany any like IDEA audiences to consider under that mark. And there was also a mixture of what was done in the past and what will happen for the oncoming or the incoming concerts. And that's all.
Okay, great, thank you. And our second reader is Angela.
Okay, I am scrolling away. That was a very thorough assessment of the application. Thank you. I have very little. I'm sorry, trying to read this as well as talk.
It's okay, take your time.
Yeah, that was very thorough, so I have nothing more to offer.
Okay, great. Any additional comments from other panelists? Okay, panelists, please. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, don't be shy. Other panelists, if you're afraid of being redundant, it's okay. Any feedback is helpful to the applicants if you have it.
Okay. All right, panelists, go ahead and place your scores online and give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay. We will move on to our next review of the South Bend Heritage in St. Joseph County. And our first reviewer is Maria.
Okay. The Colfax Gallery will offer a robust experience for the diverse community that will include several exhibit opportunities. So not just one, but several, which is a benefit to the community, and also would reach more people that maybe couldn't come to just one, but to several different events. The addition of virtual exhibitions is also well done, with expanding the viewing opportunities for those who maybe cannot participate in person or attend in person. The number of possible local artists is also a strength for this project, with close to 200 artists participating in the exhibitions that are offered. The additional strengths are the public receptions that will allow the artists themselves to invite friends and family, but also that will come in and view these artworks as well. And then in addition, they can also sell their artwork, which is a huge benefit for artists who maybe they wouldn't have that opportunity normally. It is clear that this project will in fact enhance the culture and artistic education based on the variety of expeditions that they are offering. The students will be directly impacted, having the opportunity to showcase their artwork, with an additional advantage of, again, inviting their friends and family into this gallery space. And the community engagement is positive because this the gallery is open to the public. The schools and the low-income households will greatly benefit from this exposure of art within the local community and surrounding areas. They went far, I guess, beyond just your normal explanation of the gallery in talking about the safety measures that have been put in place for both the artists and visitors. Another strong point is that the project is also committed to the IEDA strategies with their art and social justice exhibit that will be highlighting a sensitive topic that would also increase open dialogue about those specific topics as well. And then just in ending, the additional strengths, they had an excellent monitoring of foot traffic over the years, which was impressive. There will be 100 middle school students that will have a direct impact from their ability to participate, and maybe they wouldn't be able to participate in something this stature. I think that's outstanding. Excellent details with the dates, specific dates and times, well thought out process, opportunities for the number of artists that will be impacted, and the number of exhibitions that will be offered, and the schedule was well thought out.
Great, thank you. And our second reader is Randy.
I agree with Maria on all of the points. I really thought that this proposal did a great job to emphasize that, you know, everybody who's participating is an artist in some aspect, and that they are really benefiting through the participation, through the experience, and through the exposure, especially, you know, if they're from a risk community or a high needs community. Everybody who can come to the Colfax Gallery can take something away from it.
Okay, great. Any other additional comments by other panelists? Okay, panelists, please score your sheets online and give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, looks like we're ready. Our next will be the Studebaker National Museum in St. Joseph County. And our first reader is Jordea.
Hello again. The application was very clear overall. The suggestion would be to specify exactly the audience. I know it wasn't clear on where it will be just museum audience or ongoers or community and or the ages this particular program will be geared towards. If it will be family oriented or is more adults or professionals, etc. The artists that they are looking to utilize the grant funds to cover their expenses is based in Washington State, and will be providing benefits to local artists via artist talk or a connection with the local artists. But it could have been elaborated a little bit more, as well as they only used the term connection with no way of how this particular artist was going to lend their expertise or insight to the local artists that would be in attendance to the talk and the lecture and the programs following their visit. I would also have another suggestion in the case of the percentage of the numbers of underserved community that would be beneficial. They stated in an area that their 2021 financial assets had to change, which affected their proposal for for the grant calendar year, but it was no clarity on why the shifts and changed. And then along with, they mentioned the word of surveys, but not to provide any details on how those surveys were implemented and any changes or effects going forward. Overall, it provided a lot of details around the timeline and the structure of the visit, coinciding with the existing exhibition that would be taking place during the time. That is all.
Thank you. And our second reader is Maria.
I think you're muted.
Sorry, yeah, I just noticed that. Thank you, Kayla. I was just going to say, let me look and see if I have any additional. That was pretty well done. Yeah. Yeah, I would have to agree with Jordea with those points, and I don't think I have anything further to comment on that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any additional comments from other panelists? Okay, panelists, please score your scores online and then give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, we're ready to move on to our next review of the Hartery Inc. in Fulton County, and our first reader is Nora.
All right. So the applicant has set forth clear goals with a detailed plan on how to achieve them. They are contracting with a variety of established artists to create these artistic engagement opportunities. I think this speaks to the quality of the artistic experience for both the participants and the audience. In terms of artist support, all artists listed are Indiana artists, and the project's broader community-focused elements, they promise to engage even more Indiana artists and art supporters. In terms of community engagement, it seeks to engage a rural population, which is traditionally underserved by the arts. They have sought feedback from community organizations as well as the wider community, engaging them in the process of developing the program. They're making the project more accessible by promoting it through a wide variety of channels and offering programs at no cost to attendees. In the future, I would like to see more emphasis or explanation on how the wide variety of promotional channels will be used to reach different underserved groups. Outside of that, they have a clearly outlined timeline with all stages accounted for. The budget is well-defined, reasonable, and the planning team looks to be robust with clearly assigned roles.
Okay, great. Thank you. And our next reader is Angela.
Well, that was thoroughly reviewed, so I have very little I could add to that. So.
Okay. All right. Any additional comments by other panelists?
I have some additional comments. I just wanted to make note that the application did provide that this program was coming out of responses to an online survey that called out for more art-related programs. And so they're working closely with their community in order to shape this proposed project. For me, one of the Facebook links did not work or did not open up, so I wasn't able to view that material. I would also add, they mentioned that for marketing and gathering of research of how the event would take place or how the event would be going is through comments being collected during the event. It didn't offer any specificity of how those comments would be collected, by who, in what form or what format, and how those comments will then be used to dictate the success of the program, hopefully to be laid out in next year. Yes, the staffing and the budget were thoroughly laid out. There was also an expense line that was made mention under the staffing optional listing, but it wasn't listed in the actual budget breakdown. And that line item was towards a ASL professional or tech. Those are my additional notes.
Great, thank you. Any additional comments? Okay, panelists, please put your scores online and give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, we're ready to move on to our next review of the Maple City Chamber Orchestra Society in Elkhart County. And our first reader is Randall.
For the Maple City Chamber Orchestra Society, I thought the section for artistic quality was strong. The goal of the organization was made clear. And the results they seek to accomplish were outlined in 4 easy to read points. So I really got a taste of it right away and then could go on into further elaborations. But I believe what they want to accomplish could easily become an impactful and meaningful experience for their intended audience. I also really like that they have or are trying to bring more young people into the audience and let them have a direct participation or experience and gaining new knowledge at the same time. For feedback for the idea section, the question of how will community input be included in the development and planning of the proposed project seemed unclear to me. Or it just could have been further elaborated on. It seemed like they had a plan, but they didn't really say what kind of specific motivations that they have used to illustrate how they're encouraging growth and community awareness. For management, I think that all of the folks there are experienced enough to know what they're doing. and have a pretty good timeline for how to implement their next project.
Okay, great.
That's it.
Our second reader is Nora.
I generally agree with Randy. However, I have some thoughts on the community engagement section. I think generally they seem to want to engage the general population in the area with a focus on groups traditionally underserved. I really liked how they continually seek feedback from community organizations as well as the wider community, kind of involving them in the development of the program. And the part about making the project more accessible by offering the programs at no cost to attendees.
Okay, great. Additional comments by other panelists?
I have additional comments. I would suggest to offer more detail around the project timeline. It was just very brief as far as months of when the actual concerts or the engagements will take place. One of the video links, again, did not open, and it opened, but I was not able to play it. And I tried it on several different outlets. And again, this program has been taking place for the last 26 years. However, it did not offer any implementations of the last few years on how it has informed this project for the proposed year. That's all of my comments.
Great, thank you. Any additional comments? Okay, thank you, panelists. If you could please score your online sheets, and then we'll move on to the next after I get your thumbs up. Okay, we will move on to the Napanee Arts Council, Inc. in Elkhart County, and our first reader is Angela.
Yes, thank you. Under artistic quality, the proposal fully describes the artistic nature of the project, as well as the impact of the project for the community. And a significant portion of the grant funds will support Indiana artists working on the project, and funds from other sources will cover expenses described in the proposal. For community engagement, the grant application could be improved by a discussion of how underserved communities are involved, impacted by the project. While the public is invited to watch the making and installation, is there support or efforts to invite specific groups such as local artists or underserved community members to participate? And so public art, by definition, is available for all. And the application states that the sculptures are located close to paved sidewalks and paths. Still, there's no specific description in the proposal of accessibility or attempts to reach out to those traditionally underserved. It describes how the NAC is attempting to measure impact of the project, cited increased foot traffic in downtown and along the art path through the use of CR codes, which is noted. And the project website and marketing materials seek sponsorship from the community, and that was included in the proposal. It describes the experience of the team working on this project and their past success, and the budget and timeline seem straightforward, clear, and reasonable. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Jordea?
It's Jordia.
I'm sorry, Jordea.
Thank you. I do have some comments in regards to the budget. Earlier, they stated that they received 17 sponsors at $1,500, which will be a total of $25,500. However, that was not listed in the cash income line. It also mentioned that some students would have been working alongside the Art Council. Again, a budget line was not allocated for those students. If they were, I don't know if their labor was going to be free or as a voluntary method. I would also suggest going forward to develop on what IDEA strategies or initiatives would be utilized in the project, and also a clarity on what were the themes that were suggested through the council meetings and how the final theme was chosen. And my last point, to clarify the artist benefits from the role being a part of this particular project, and will the impact be limited both in terms of benefit or the actual compensation? Those are my notes.
Great, thank you. And are there any other comments from additional panelists?
Yeah. In terms of the goals, I didn't really find them to be very clearly defined. I'd like to see some more information on the intended audience and what the expected impact of the project would be. I also had some comments on the timeline portion. Let me just scroll down. So the team seems well equipped to undertake the project, but the timeline doesn't really account for the planning, sourcing, and creation of the piece. It kind of only lists the installation date and the intended display period. So I would like a little bit more information on that in the future. And I believe everything else has been covered.
Okay, are there additional comments from other panelists? Okay, panelists, if you could please score your reviews and give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, we will move on to our next review of the Stark County Youth Club, Inc. in Stark County. And our first reviewer is Maria.
Okay. This project has meaningful learning opportunities for the children and the families that are in this community with this after-school program. It was well thought out and it has straightforward goals. I wish that I would have seen more on the mission statement, but again, like I said, it was straightforward to who they're providing these services to. The diverse range of the art exposure from this project offers different cultures. It also is a huge benefit to the learning experience, exploring not only art but culture integration that will directly impact the children, being led by skilled artists in each of these workshops. Strengths for this project are definitely the fact that they have backed up their findings with research, how the art will impact these children. That was a strength, I think, in just including that in their proposal. How the project will impact the youth that are involved. In addition, offering a safe environment to explore, just having that freedom to explore art is a strength in the variety of art methods, but also a broad range of art forms that will be featured. For example, strong cultural exposure with Japanese art, Mexican drumming and rhythm patterns, and so forth. So there's just a wide range offered. And then the opportunity to offer meaningful relationships, not just with the students, but the families as well, was a strength. And in order to improve the confidence, the critical thinking, the problem solving, and those kinds of things that follow after having those experiences with the art. And they also offered measurable data, which was also impressive. They will have plenty of staff that have years of experience And they also have a very detailed budget and plan timeline. That's it.
Okay, great. Thank you. And our next reader is Nora.
I generally agree with Maria's assessment. Just to give a little bit more on the kind of community engagement and idea portion, I think they've clearly outlined how they'll benefit in underserved communities, rural, economically disadvantaged communities. They've also listed the steps they've taken to include the input of the community in the development of the program through surveys and holding community meetings and hosting social media polls. They've also, in the application, outlined or demonstrated efforts they've taken to ensure the accessibility of the program by making it available free of cost and easy to reach for folks without access to transportation. They have the defined plan to measure impact, both quantitative and qualitative measures, by partnering with a local evaluator. And I think that's about it on that portion.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other additional comments by other panelists? Okay, we'll go ahead and mark our reviews and give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, Maria, your screen's frozen. I assume you're good, right?
Yes, I'm good.
All right, thank you. And we have 3 to go. Are we all in agreement? We're just going to continue?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I didn't know if anybody needed a break. Okay. Our next review is of the trustees of Indiana University, South Bend. It's in St. Joe County, and our first reviewer is Maria.
Okay. Not only will the IU students and faculty benefit from this celebration kickoff for the February's Black History Month, but also the youth in the local schools. That is a benefit to include not just the IU students, but the surrounding schools as well. I feel that it is not only important, but also will make a stronger impact for the project. The youth will be exposed to talent such as these musicians. They will be directly impacted through their lives in a meaningful way just by the pure exposure to such talent. Specifically, diverse youth who will see themselves through these artists, which I thought was a great point. And then they will see these talented musicians and inspired to embrace the art of music themselves. To further enhance this project, I do think that they could plan to have a meet and greet with some of those middle school or high school students that will be selected from the music and band programs, so that they could ask direct questions to these artists, since they are bringing the artists in from a variety of different backgrounds and cultures, that they could do some kind of meet and greet. I think that would be a benefit to this program. And perhaps see if anybody that is in those music programs might have a specific interest. Maybe they're struggling with a direction of, do I want to pursue music or do I not? And seeing these successful artists may encourage them to do so. What a unique experience for a child to meet somebody who has been successful, and just encourage them to continue to do great things. After finding and looking at the Amani Wynn's website and reading each of the musicians' bios, none of the artists are from Indiana, so I struggled with trying to figure out how it was going to directly benefit Indiana artists, other than the exposure for the IU students and those local students, high school or middle school students that they will bring in for these recitals. So that part was unclear to me. It says that it will benefit 50 other artists. Are these college students? Are these community students? It doesn't give a clear indication of who those are. I can assume that it is from those youth, but I can't really tell. And then 50 seems like a low number to be bringing in these artists, you know, from out of state. So I was wondering, from the band and music students from the South Bend Public Schools, which schools, it wasn't clear the number of students that would be impacted and the number of local schools that would be impacted. It also didn't talk about the number of IU students that would be impacted. So I felt like that was missing. And then the project management and how everything is arranged seems thorough. Their plan for moving forward. It seems that there is, you know, one larger event that they're going to have and how they're going to bring all of those students in. But I do think that the project is outlined well, and the bit is clear and thorough. And that.
Okay, thank you. And our second reader is Randy.
All right. Thanks, Maria. That was pretty well laid out. I think that this has got some pretty strong quality to it. For the timeline, you know, this is a pretty big event, and it seemed pretty generalized on just basic points. Maybe that's okay, but I would have thought that there would have been some more detail to that. And for the artist quality and support, they had mentioned working through an outreach program with the Civil Rights Center. And I just would have liked to have known what else they are doing with the center. Like, what is the program that they're intending to do? You know, what kind of things are going to happen with that? And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Additional comments, or if anybody can answer some of those questions? Okay, panelists, if you can score your sheets and give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, looks like we're ready to move on to Union North United School Corporation in St. Joe County. And our first reader is Nora.
All right. Okay, so the applicant has clearly outlined their goals and objectives. They outlined the intended audience and have clearly demonstrated a meaningful intended impact for the students that are going to be participating and the wider community. While there is no financial compensation to Indiana artists directly, students participating in the program will have the benefit of exposure to the arts. The project seeks to engage a rural population, which is traditionally underserved by the arts, and the applicant has sought feedback from community organizations as well as the wider community, engaging them in the process of developing the program. They are making the project more accessible by offering the program at no cost to participating students and at low cost for attendees to the shows. In the future, I would love to see a little bit more about how impact would be measured. As for project management, the applicant has clearly outlined a timeline with all stages accounted for. The budget is clearly outlined and reasonable, and the planning team is robust and experienced with clearly assigned roles.
Great. And our second reader is Angela.
That was very thorough. Thank you. And I agree with all of that. I guess just an additional bit of information for the applicant would be perhaps finding more ways to collect feedback following the performances to gauge their success, such as lobby surveys or in person or paper or online, and maybe a structured post-performance debriefing of students involved in the production identify what went well and opportunities for improvement. And no, that was a thorough first reader. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any additional comments from other panelists?
I have some additional comments, just one, just to offer a suggestion around clarity on the IDEA strategies. It was slightly touched upon, but did not offer much breadth of exactly what those strategies would look like, of addressing barriers, diversifying participants, or the accessibility accommodations.
Okay, good, thank you. Any additional comments? Okay, panelists, if you could please score the applicants and give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, we're ready to move on to our last review of Unity Gardens in St. Joseph County. And our first reader is Randy.
For artistic quality, and what made this a strong response for me, simply put, the organization seems to know its audience. The proposal for this event boasts strong quality based on their goals, which are to focus on camaraderie and build upon the relationships that they have already created in their community. And, you know, really choosing to focus on what's good about their community. And for support, because the organization, speaking of what's good about their community, features up and coming neighborhood artists and vendors in their outreach. For feedback for this section, just for clarity and easy reading, it may be helpful to provide just a sentence or two at the beginning of this section stating where the artists are from and how they will benefit from the project, followed by the more broader specifics of each participant. For the idea section, I kept coming across the word we and how we is used in planning this event. Who are the players on the team? Is it a committee? Is it volunteers? Is it, you know, what is it? Also, what else could have been said about the different activities and games offered for this event? How are these activities organized? Is there a fun educational component? How do these activities contribute to maintaining a sense of pride in the community? And also, they talked about how they organize their feedback or how they get feedback. And it seemed to be mostly word of mouth, and they just take suggestions as they come. But how is this feedback prioritized so that the community's wants and needs can be effectively implemented? And for project management, I think that they it's appropriate, planned, and well considered.
Great, thank you. And our second reader is Jordia.
In agreement with everything Randy offered, I have no additional comments.
Okay, any additional comments from other panelists?
I have one in their project management section, just the year-round event details tell me that this event is going to be top-notch with their preparation and their planning. It's not just, we're going to do this in a few months. They've given it thought for an entire year. So the details of the plans are reassuring that this will be impactful experience for the team and the community.
Okay, any other additional comments? Angela?
Just one quick thing. The budget could be scored higher if more information were included on the $1,000 expense for travel and accommodations. So it's unclear from the proposal for whom the travel and accommodations is needed. That's it.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Additional comments, or if anybody can answer that question? Okay, panelists, go ahead and score your sheets, and I'll take this opportunity to announce this is the conclusion of the review panel. And thank you everyone for tuning in. The applicants will be notified of their status of grant support in June, following the IAC's quarterly business meeting. If all of the panelists could please stay on, and thank you for joining us.